Captain Marcus Reed stared at the navigation display with growing worry. The numbers made no sense anymore. 3 days ago, his transport ship had been following a routine supply route to the outer colonies. Now, the horizon's end was floating in empty space, far beyond any known star system. The navigation malfunction had thrown them so far off course that even their most detailed star charts showed nothing but blank space. "How bad is it, Tom?" Marcus asked his chief engineer, who was crawling around under the main console with a flashlight between his teeth. Tom Brooks pulled himself out from under the panel and wiped grease from his hands. "The jump drive is completely fried. We've got maybe 3 days of fuel left for the regular engines, and our food supplies won't last more than 2 weeks. We need to find help soon, or we're going to be permanent residents of this empty corner." Of space. Dr. Lisa Hayes looked up from her medical station. "At least we're all healthy, that's something." She tried to sound cheerful, but her voice carried the same tension that had filled the ship since they realized how lost they were. The crew of 12 had been together for almost 2 years, running supplies between Earth and the frontier colonies. They were not explorers or military personnel. They were simple cargo haulers who had signed up for steady work and regular pay. None of them had expected to find themselves stranded in uncharted space with no way home. Marcus walked to the main viewport and looked out at the stars. They were different here. The constellations were unfamiliar, and the cosmic background. Radiation readings suggested they were near the edge of the galaxy itself. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. Millions of stars stretched out before them, but none of them offered hope of rescue. "Captain," called out Maria Santos from the communications station. "I'm picking up something on the long-range sensors. It's big, and it's not moving." Marcus hurried to her station. "What kind of big? Ship-size big, maybe 10 times our size?" "It's about 6 hours away at our current speed." The crew gathered around the sensor display. The object was clearly artificial, with a regular geometric shape that no asteroid or comet could produce. It appeared to be drifting without power, just like they were. "Could be a derelict," suggested Tom. "Maybe we can salvage parts or find fuel." "Or it could be dangerous," warned Lisa. "We don't know who built it or why it's out." Here. Marcus considered their options. They had 3 days of fuel and 2 weeks of food. The mysterious ship was their only chance of finding anything useful in this empty region of space. "We don't have much choice. If we stay here, we die slowly. If we investigate that ship, we at least have a chance." The journey to the alien vessel took longer than expected. As they got closer, the ship's true size became clear. It was enormous, easily the largest artificial structure any of them had ever seen. Its surface was smooth and dark, with strange geometric patterns that seemed to shift and flow when viewed from different angles. "No signs of activity," reported Maria. "No energy signatures, no communication signals. It's completely dead." They found a docking port that seemed compatible with their ship systems. The airlock mechanisms were different, but similar enough that Tom managed to create a working seal. As they prepared to board the alien vessel, Marcus divided his crew into 3 teams. He would lead the first team to explore the ship, Tom would stay with a small crew to monitor their own ship, and Lisa would coordinate from the communication station. The alien ship's interior was unlike anything they had ever seen. The corridors were tall and wide, designed for beings much larger than humans. The walls had a strange, organic quality, to them as if they had been grown rather than built. Most surprising of all, the atmosphere was breathable. Their portable sensors confirmed that the air was safe, though it had a strange, sweet smell that reminded Marcus of flowers. "This doesn't look like a warship," observed Rick Palmer, one of the cargo handlers who had volunteered for the exploration. "Team, more like a passenger ship, maybe." They found rooms that looked like living quarters, though the furniture was all wrong for human bodies. Everything was too tall, too wide, and shaped for creatures with different proportions. The beds, if that's what they were more like shallow pools lined with a soft, cushioned material. As they moved deeper into the ship, they began to hear a soft humming sound. It was rhythmic and constant, like the sound of massive machinery running at low power. Following the sound, they found themselves in a vast chamber that stretched beyond the range of their flashlights. The room contained thousands of cylindrical pods, each about the size of a small car. They were arranged in perfect rows, stretching into the darkness. Each pod glowed with a soft blue light, and the humming sound was coming from the machinery that connected them all. "My God," whispered Maria, who was monitoring their progress from the ship. "Are those what I think they are?" Marcus approached one of the pods and peered through its transparent surface. Inside, suspended in some kind of fluid, was a being unlike anything from Earth. It was tall and slender, with skin that seemed to be made of living crystal. Its limbs were long and graceful, and its head was larger than a human's, with features that were both alien and strangely beautiful. "They're in some kind of suspended animation," said Lisa through the communication system. "And if this chamber is representative of the whole ship, there could be millions of them." The implications were staggering. This was not a derelict ship at all. It was a generation ship, carrying an entire population of beings through space. But something was wrong. Warning lights were flashing on some of the pods, and the humming sound was irregular, as if the machinery was struggling to maintain its function. "Captain," called Tom from their own ship, "I'm reading massive system failures throughout that vessel. Whatever's keeping those beings alive, it's breaking down fast." Marcus stood in the vast chamber surrounded by sleeping aliens whose lives hung in the balance. His crew was stranded and facing their own death, but they had stumbled upon something far more significant than their own survival. An entire alien civilization was dying in their sleep, and somehow the humans had become their only hope for salvation. Marcus knew they had to try something. The alien ship was massive, and its technology was clearly advanced beyond anything humans had developed. If they could understand how it worked, they might find a way to save both the sleeping aliens and themselves. "Tom, I need you over here," Marcus called through the communication system. "Bring your toolkit and any spare parts that might be useful." While Tom made his way to the alien vessel, Marcus and his team continued exploring. They found what appeared to be a control room, filled with displays and interfaces that made no sense to human eyes. The symbols were unlike any language they had ever seen, and the controls seemed to respond to touch in ways that defied their understanding. "These readings are incredible," Lisa reported as she monitored their progress from the horizon's end. "The power source for this ship is putting out more energy than our entire home planet uses in a year, but it's failing. The output is dropping." Steadily, Tom arrived with his equipment and immediately began examining the alien technology. "This is way beyond anything we've ever seen. Look at these connections. They're not using wires or circuits like we do. It's more like they're channeling energy through the ship's structure itself." They spent hours trying to understand the systems, but the alien technology remained a mystery. The warning lights continued to flash, and the humming sound grew more irregular. Whatever was keeping the aliens alive was clearly breaking down, and the humans had no idea how to fix it. Then they heard something that changed everything. A soft chime echoed through the control room, followed by a voice speaking in an unknown language. One of the display screens began showing symbols that pulsed with a gentle rhythm. "Someone's trying to communicate," Maria whispered. The voice came again, more urgently this time. The symbols on the screen changed, becoming more complex. Then, surprisingly, some of the symbols began to shift into shapes that looked almost like human letters. "It's learning," Tom said with amazement. "The system is analyzing our language and trying to translate." After several minutes of back-and-forth communication attempts, words began to appear on the screen in broken but understandable English. "Help needed systems dying. Marcus stepped forward and spoke clearly toward what appeared to be a communication device. "We are humans. We want to help. Can you understand us?" The response came faster this time. "Humans unknown species kid help. US? We want to help. Are you one of the sleeping people?" I am KETH engineer emergency. Protocols life the support and began dialing my people. The VL dying our dying our the not. Adapt to damage from solar storm. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. An entire alien race was depending on failing technology, and somehow their desperate situation had brought them into contact with humanity. Can you show yourself to us? We need to understand what's happening. Yes, you do not dear me. They waited tensely as footsteps echoed through the corridors. The being that appeared in the doorway was even more magnificent than the ones they had seen sleeping in the pods. Keth stood, nearly 3 meters tall, with skin that shifted between blue and silver like liquid crystal. His limbs were long and graceful, and his large eyes held an intelligence that was unmistakably alive and aware. You are so small, Keth said, his voice now coming directly from a translation device he carried. Yet you came to help us. We're stranded too, Marcus admitted. Our ship is damaged and we're lost. But we found your ship, and we want to help if we can. Keth's skin shifted to a warmer golden color. Your species. You are dung. But you traveled. Between stars. You must knowledge of repair and adaptation. Tom stepped forward with his toolkit. We're pretty good at fixing things that are broken. Can you show us what's wrong with your systems? Keth led them through the ship, explaining the crisis as they walked. The Veilti had been traveling through space for over 3 centuries, fleeing their dying homeworld. They had been searching for a new planet to call home when their ship passed through an unexpected solar storm. The radiation had damaged their life support systems in ways their technology couldn't handle. Our systems designed for perfection, Keth explained. They work very well when everything is as expected. But when unexpected occurs, they cannot adapt. They can only original programming. Lisa, who had joined them on the alien ship, examined the life support systems with fascination. Your technology is incredible, but it's very specialized. Our systems are simpler, but they're designed to be flexible. We fix things by changing them, not by replacing them. This is alien concept to us, Keth admitted. We build dong things to last forever. When they we rebuild them exactly for. Tom was already examining the failing systems, but that's not going to work here. The damage is too extensive, and you don't have the resources to rebuild everything. You need to adapt what you have. Can you teach us adaptation? Marcus looked at his crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that he felt in his heart. They were still stranded, still facing their own mortality, but they had found something bigger than their own survival. An entire alien civilization was depending on them. We'll do everything we can, Marcus promised, but we'll need to work together. Your technology is far advanced beyond ours, but our methods might be able to save your people. Keth's skin brightened to a warm amber color. Then we We'll learn from each other, perhaps together we can save both our peoples. As they began to work together, Marcus realized that this was more than just a rescue mission. 2 completely different species with different ways of thinking and different approaches to technology were about to discover what they could accomplish when they combined their strengths. The fate of millions of sleeping Veilti hung in the balance, and the solution would require the best of both human ingenuity and alien knowledge. Working with Keth proved to be both fascinating and frustrating. The Veilti engineer knew his ship's systems better than anyone, But he approached every problem with a rigid methodology that left no room for creative solutions. When Tom suggested using parts from the human ship to create a temporary fix for a failing power coupling, Keth's skin shifted to a deep blue color that they had learned meant confusion or distress. "This cannot work," Keth said, examining the human components. "These parts are not designed for our systems. They are incompatible." "But look," Tom said, holding up a piece of human circuitry next to a VLT component, "they perform similar functions. If we modify the connections and adjust the power flow, we can make them work together." Keth studied the components for a long time. "In our society, we would consider such modification. It goes against all protocols." Lisa, who had been monitoring the life support systems, looked up from her readings. "But your protocols are failing. The people in those pods are dying because your systems can't adapt to the damage from the solar storm. We have contingency plans for many scenarios," Keth explained, "but not for this type of damage. Our ancestors did not anticipate the situation." Marcus could see the fundamental difference between their species. The VLT built things to last forever, following plans that had been perfected over centuries. Humans built things to be changed, improved, and adapted as circumstances required. Neither approach was wrong, but the current crisis required the flexibility that only human thinking could provide. "What if we work together?" Marcus suggested. "You know your systems better than we ever could. We know how to make things work when they shouldn't. Maybe we can find a way to combine both approaches." They started with the most critical systems first. The life support processors that maintained the atmosphere in the sleeping pods were failing at an alarming rate. The VLT solution would require completely rebuilding the processors using materials they didn't have. The human solution was to create bypass systems using whatever materials they could find. Tom and Keth worked side by side, with Tom explaining human engineering principles, while Keth shared his deep knowledge of VLT technology. It was slow work, complicated by the language barrier and the vast differences in their approaches to problem solving. "Your species dinks in chaos," Keth observed as Tom created a complex web of connections between human and VLT components. "This should not function, yet readings show it working. It's not chaos," Tom explained. "It's adaptation. We look at what we have, figure out what we need, and find a way to make it work. Sometimes the solution isn't pretty, but it gets the job done." Lisa had been studying the VLT biological systems and made a disturbing discovery. The life support isn't just failing mechanically. The VLT physiology has been slowly changing during their centuries in space. Their bodies have adapted to the ship's environment, but the life support systems are still calibrated for their original physiology. "This is impossible," Keth said when Lisa shared her findings. "Our systems are designed for our bodies. They cannot be wrong." "They're not wrong," Lisa explained gently. "They're just outdated. Your people have been evolving during the journey, but your machines haven't been evolving with them." This revelation struck at the heart of VLT thinking. Their entire civilization was built on the idea that perfection could be achieved and maintained forever. The concept that their own bodies might change over time was deeply troubling to Keth. "If this is true all, our plans are flawed. We cannot perfect systems. If the requirements change." Marcus saw an opportunity to help Keth understand human thinking. "That's exactly why we build systems that can change. We know that nothing stays the same forever. Our technology is designed to be modified and improved as we learn more." As they worked together, more problems emerged. The ship's navigation systems were also failing, corrupted by the same solar storm that had damaged the life support. The VLT had been traveling toward a specific star system that their ancestors had identified as suitable for colonization, but they could no longer determine their location or direction. We are lost, Keth admitted, his skin shifting to a dull gray color. Without navigation, we cannot ... Destination, even if ... do we repair? Life support ... we will drift forever. Not necessarily, Maria said from the communication station. Our navigation systems were damaged too, but we still have our star charts and sensor data. If we can combine our information with yours, we might be able to figure out where we are. The process of sharing navigation data proved to be another lesson in the differences between their species. The Veilty charts were incredibly detailed and precise, showing the exact positions of stars as they had been centuries ago. The human charts were less precise but more flexible, designed to account for the movement of stars over time. Your charts are imprecise, Keth observed. There are ... error margins in all ... calculations. That's because we know our measurements aren't perfect, Marcus explained. We build in margins of error so we can still navigate even when our information isn't completely accurate. Working together, they began to make progress on multiple fronts. The hybrid life support systems that Tom and Keth had created were functioning better than either pure human or pure Veilty systems. Lisa's modifications to account for the Veilty's evolved physiology were keeping more of the sleeping aliens stable. Maria's navigation work was beginning to establish their position in space, but the most important progress was in understanding between the two species. Keth was learning to think in terms of adaptation and flexibility, while the humans were gaining appreciation for the precision and thoroughness of Veilty engineering. Your species ... diff. For adaptation, Keth said as they completed another successful repair. You see ... possibilities ... door we ... see only ... problems. And your species has a gift for building things that last, Tom replied. If we can combine your precision with our flexibility, we might be able to save everyone. As they worked through the night, more warning lights began to flash throughout the ship. The crisis was accelerating and they were running out of time. But for the first time since they had discovered the alien vessel, Marcus felt hopeful. Two species with completely different approaches to technology and problem-solving were learning to work together, and their combined efforts were achieving what neither could accomplish alone. The hybrid systems were working better than anyone had hoped, but they weren't enough. The ship was simply too large, and too many systems were failing simultaneously. Keth made the difficult decision to begin awakening more of his people, starting with the most essential personnel. We must ... The others, Keth announced, but awakening ... process ... is dangerous ... When systems are unstable, some may not ... dive. Lisa had been studying the awakening procedures and offered to help. Our medical knowledge might be useful. We deal with people waking up from medical comas all the time. The first to be awakened was Nara, the ship's chief medical officer. She emerged from her pod slowly, her crystalline skin shifting through a spectrum of colors as her body adjusted to consciousness. When she saw the humans, her skin turned deep purple with shock. Who are ... these beings? She asked in the same stilted translation that Keth used. They are humans, Keth explained. They are ... helping us ... repair our ... failing systems. Nara's examination of the hybrid systems that Tom and Keth had created filled her with the same confusion that Keth had initially felt. These modifications violate every ... safety protocol we have. They should not function. But they do function, Lisa pointed out, and they're keeping your people alive. As more Veilty were awakened, the cultural differences became even more apparent. The younger Veilty seemed more adaptable to the human concepts of improvisation and modification. The older ones, particularly those in leadership positions, were deeply uncomfortable with the makeshift solutions that were keeping their ship operational. Elder Thane, the ship's commander, was particularly resistant to the human methods. We have ... traveled safely for 3 centuries, following proper ... protocols. these modifications greater damage than they to vent. With respect, Elder, Marcus said carefully, your protocols didn't account for the damage from the solar storm. Your people are dying because your systems can't adapt to the unexpected damage. Then we must rebuild the systems correctly rather than create these chaotic applications. Tom had been listening to the conversation while working on a particularly complex repair. Elder Thane, we don't have the materials or time to rebuild everything. These modifications are keeping people alive right now. The tension between the two approaches came to a head when a critical power coupling failed in the ship's main reactor. The VLT protocols called for a complete shutdown of the reactor, removal of all damaged components, and a careful rebuild, using certified replacement parts. The process would take weeks, and the ship would be without power for most of that time. We cannot risk reactor failure, Elder Thane insisted. We must follow proper procedures. But without power, the life support systems will fail completely, Keth argued. Thousands will die while we rebuild according to protocol. Marcus looked at the failed coupling and had an idea. What if we don't rebuild it? What if we bypass it entirely? Bypass the main tower coupling? Elder Thane's skin turned almost black with horror. This is impossible. The coupling is essential reactor function. Not if we reroute the power flow through secondary systems, Tom said, following Marcus's thinking. We can use the ship's internal power grid to carry the load temporarily. This will overload secondary systems, warned Nara. Maybe, Lisa admitted, but it will keep the reactor running while we work on a permanent solution. The debate that followed revealed the fundamental difference between the two species. The VLT valued safety and long-term stability above all else. The humans valued immediate survival and were willing to take risks to achieve it. Your methods dangerous, Elder Thane said finally. You risk destroying what we built. And your methods are slow, Marcus replied. You risk losing everything while you try to build it perfectly? Keth, who had been working closely with the humans, spoke up. Perhaps we can combine both approaches. We use for immediate survival. Then we use VAELT methods for long-term stability. The compromise was difficult for both sides. The humans had to accept that their quick fixes would need to be replaced with more permanent solutions. The VLT had to accept that their perfect systems might need to be modified to handle unexpected circumstances. The reactor bypass took 12 hours to complete, with human and VLT engineers working together under constant pressure. When they finally brought the system online, the entire ship seemed to sigh with relief. Power flowed through the secondary systems, keeping the life support running while they worked on repairing the main coupling. It works, Nara said with amazement. The readings are stable. For now, Tom cautioned. This is a temporary solution. We'll need to do permanent repairs before those secondary systems overload. As they worked through the next several days, the relationship between the two species continued to evolve. The younger VLT embraced the human concepts of adaptation and improvisation. Some of the older ones, particularly Elder Thane, remained skeptical, but they could not argue with the results. Your species thinks differently than we do, Keth observed during one of their work sessions. You see opportunity where we risk, and your species sees the big picture where we only see the immediate problem, Marcus replied. We need both perspectives to solve this crisis. The breakthrough came when Lisa discovered that the VLT's own biology held the key to permanent repairs. The alien's crystalline skin could conduct energy in ways that their technology had never utilized. By incorporating living VLT tissue into the ship's systems, they could create self-healing components that would adapt to damage automatically. This is unprecedented, Elder Thane said when Lisa presented her findings. We have never integrated living tissue with our technology, but it would solve both problems, Keth pointed out. The systems would be self-repairing like human methods suggest, but they would also be living and adaptable like Velti biology. The proposal represented a fusion of human innovation and Velti precision that neither species could have achieved alone. It was risky, untested, and completely contrary to established protocols. It was also their best hope for saving millions of lives. As they prepared to implement the bio-integrated systems, Marcus realized that they were creating something entirely new. Not just a solution to the current crisis, but a new way of thinking about technology itself. The rigid perfection of the Velti and the chaotic adaptability of the humans were combining to create something neither species had imagined possible. The bio-integrated systems exceeded everyone's expectations. The living components adapted to damage automatically, healing themselves and maintaining optimal function without constant maintenance. The ship's systems were not just repaired but improved, becoming more resilient and efficient than they had ever been. The integration is remarkable, Nara reported as she monitored the new systems. The living components are communicating with each other, creating a network of div responses. Tom watched the energy flow patterns with fascination. It's like the ship is learning. Each time a system encounters stress, it adapts and becomes stronger. Elder Thane's initial skepticism had given way to grudging admiration. These systems violate every principle followed for centuries, yet they function better than anything we have created. The success of the bio-integrated systems had an unexpected effect on the Velti. As more of their people were awakened, they began to embrace the human concepts of adaptation and improvisation. The younger Velti in particular seemed energized by the possibilities that flexibility offered. We have been thinking too narrowly, Keth admitted as he worked alongside Tom on the final system repairs. We focused on building perfect systems, but ignored the possibility of growth and change. And we've been thinking too short-term? Tom replied. Your long-term planning and attention to detail are things we need to learn from. Lisa had been working with the Velti medical team to monitor the health of the awakened population. The integration process has had another unexpected benefit. The bio-integrated systems are helping the Velti adapt to their evolved physiology. They're actually healthier now than they were before the crisis. The navigation systems had also been repaired using the hybrid approach. The Velti's precise star charts combined with human adaptability had not only determined their current location but had also identified several potentially habitable planets within reach. We have destinations, Keth announced to the assembled crew, all within 6 months. Travel time with our improved propulsion systems. Marcus looked at the star charts with mixed feelings. The successful repairs meant that both species could now reach safety, but it also meant that their time working together was coming to an end. Our ship is ready too, Tom reported. With the Velti technology you've shared with us, we can make it back to human space easily. But as they prepared to part ways, something unexpected happened. The younger Velti began expressing interest in human space, while several of the human crew members asked about joining the Velti journey to their new world. The collaboration has been enlightening, Elder Thane admitted. Perhaps our species have more offer each other than we initially realized. Marcus had been thinking the same thing. What if we don't part ways? What if we travel together to your new world? The proposal sparked intense discussion among both species. The Velti had been planning to establish a traditional colony, following the same careful protocols that had guided their civilization for millennia. The humans offered a different approach, one that emphasized adaptation and growth. A joint colony would be Unprecedented, Elder Thane said. We have no protocols for such cooperation. Then we'll create new protocols, Lisa suggested. We'll combine the best of both approaches and build something neither of us could create alone. The debate continued for days, but the success of their collaboration spoke for itself. The bio-integrated systems continued to exceed expectations. The ship was running better than ever, and both species had learned valuable lessons from each other. We have shown that cooperation is possible, Keth said finally. Perhaps it is time to show it is also beneficial in the long term. The decision to travel together was not unanimous, but it was overwhelmingly supported by both species. Some of the humans chose to return to human space, carrying news of the Veilti and the possibilities for future cooperation. Some of the Veilti chose to remain in space, continuing their journey to other potential worlds, but the majority of both crews chose to travel together toward the new world that would become home to both species. The Horizon's End was integrated into the Veilti ship systems, becoming part of the larger vessel. The humans brought their adaptability and innovation, while the Veilti provided precision and long-term planning as they approached their destination. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Eternal Passage next to Keth. The planet below them was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents that promised a new beginning for both species. It's perfect, Lisa said as she reviewed the planetary data. The atmosphere is compatible with both human and Veilti physiology. The climate is stable, and there are abundant resources. Not perfect, Keth corrected gently, but good enough to build something . The landing preparations took weeks, but they were weeks filled with excitement and anticipation. The joint colony would be built using bio-integrated technology, combining the best of both species' capabilities. It would be adaptable enough to handle unexpected challenges, but stable enough to last for generations. We're not just building a colony, Marcus said during one of the planning sessions. We're building a new way of life. The first structures on the planet's surface were unlike anything either species had built before. They grew from the ground up, using living materials that adapted to the environment while maintaining their structural integrity. The buildings could heal themselves, modify their configuration as needed, and even reproduce when expansion was required. This is what we darned. Together, Keth said as they watched the first city take shape. Not human technology, or VL technology, but something new. The success of the colony attracted attention from both human and Veilti space. Ships began arriving from both civilizations, bringing new settlers and establishing trade relationships. The joint colony became a symbol of what was possible when different species worked together. Years later, as Marcus watched human and Veilti children playing together in the living gardens of their city, he reflected on the journey that had brought them here. They had started as strangers stranded in space with seemingly incompatible ways of thinking. They had ended as partners, creating something neither species could have achieved alone. We saved each other, he told Keth one evening as they watched. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant colors. Yes, Keth agreed, his skin shifting to the warm golden color that indicated contentment. But more than that we found something. We did not no we for looking . The joint colony thrived, becoming a beacon of cooperation in a galaxy that had seen too much conflict. The bio-integrated technology developed by the two species spread throughout both civilizations, revolutionizing everything from medicine to space travel. Most importantly, the collaboration had shown that differences in thinking and approach were not obstacles to overcome, but strengths to be celebrated and combined. The humans had saved the Veilti from extinction, but in doing so they had also saved themselves from the isolation of thinking that their way was the only way. Together, they had created something that would endure long after both species had forgotten the crisis that brought them together.